Welcome to the Donald POV. I'm Donald Fitzgill Jr., bringing you my point of view on everything I want to talk about, literally everything, and trust me, I've got a lot to say. So without further ado, let's go. I think playing poker might be one of the most misunderstood activities that I've ever experienced. Some see it as pure luck. Some see it as pure skill. I think in reality it falls somewhere between both of those beliefs. Some are able to make a living off of it, while others simply cannot. And some talented individuals can use their gifts to not only win at poker, but succeed in peripheral activities associated with poker. Tyler Cambry is one of those talented individuals. Tyler is out of Dallas, Texas, is a professional poker player, author, and cinematographer. I had a chance to sit down and speak with Tyler a few weeks ago. Let's listen in on how Tyler got started in cinematography.
My dad was a photographer, and he won a lot of contests, so I had a little influence from that to be behind a camera. And I think it was about 3.5 years ago now, close to 4, I bought my first camera, which was a Sony. It was a A6000. And it had a lot of really good automatic settings on it, so it really helped you go down the track to learn. It was kind of expensive. It was like $700 something.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap, but it came with 2 lenses and a bag, and it was super crisp images. It was just something really to get a good foundation going to move forward if I ever wanted to potentially do more than just photography. So I took a long time researching the camera, or different types of cameras. I just started shooting things at the beach when I was living in Florida, and I learned how to use the video aspect on it a little bit and got really creative with it from there. And now I have a couple cameras and a lot of stuff.
8.5 years ago, Tyler began writing a poker psychological thriller called Grinders. He's now written 8 seasons of this series. Let's listen in on how Tyler got started writing.
I started training and driving 18-wheelers over the country, and a couple months into it, I was like, man, this really sucks. I've gotten to see the whole U.S. really early, and I've been to pretty much every city and state, and it's like super beautiful, but man, this is really lonely. There's no social life. I don't get to come home for 2 months at a time, and even when I'm home for like 3 or 4 days, and I'm back, I'm gone. So I've always been a writer. I was so bored out of my mind. I'd played every Xbox. I hooked the Xbox up in my truck with a TV. So I'd played every video game I'd ever had. I'd blown through everything. Like I had nothing to entertain myself. So I started writing. I started writing a Western, and I started writing something about a crazy spring break experience I had.
Being a poker player comes with its fair share of ups and downs. Let's listen in on how Tyler honed his craft at poker and formed the basis for his psychological thriller, Grinders.
I was inspired to really get into poker because of my artistic abilities in writing and the story that revolved around it. I'm so deep in the world, I've become a good enough player now to where not only do I know how to make a living off of it, I really comprehend pretty much everything. I can't say everything. There's too much to explore about the game.
Right.
But I comprehend so much about it now. There's really no reason for me to ever quit playing again, because the structure that I've built for myself, which I'm trying to implement to other people, it works whether you have a job or not. So, I mean, it's only like it has to start off as a part-time thing. So last year I spent most of my time really testing this thing out to see if it would work. And I played in 111 days and I won 93 out of them, my minimum goal at least. And 5 of the days I lost profit. And 13 of the days I broke even. I either made a little bit or lost a little bit, but it wasn't within my target on each side. It was kind of like a buffer, you know?
That's a great win rate.
Yeah, but I played really tight.
Yeah.
I was really disciplined. I was focused. I didn't really take a lot of risks. So it worked. The whole basis of my title of my project, Grinders, it was really a freaking grind. I turned a $125 free roll I had won, and I put that into a cash game, and I multiplied it from there. So I won, out of 111 days that I had played, I had won 93 of them. I had at least made, it was like the job thing. I was trying to think, okay, if I can make this into a job, what's the minimum amount of money I'd have to make every day to make a comfortable living? So I try to reach that target. I just kept trying to do that consistently, over and over and over.
I tend to place people in two buckets when I talk about poker. Those that understand and those that don't. There are a lot of common misconceptions about the game of poker. Let's hear how Tyler describes some of them.
This is a really big topic of discussion, I think, because kind of what I explained about earlier, the feeling that I knew about it because I had received information from other people about my friends playing like underground games, for instance. I mean, the first impression I had, and like any movie I'd ever seen, was about the Wild West, people cheating, getting shot, like people actually dying. So, everything I had ever seen, I'm like, oh, wow, this is some dangerous stuff,
Right.
So I have to be really careful how I get into this and where this could go. It's something you really got to figure out. And I think I'm a pretty risky guy. I mean, I'm not completely like off the hinges or anything, but I have an open mind. So I know if I have an open mind and I thought that, I can only imagine what other people think are much more conservative than I am. And I mean, I would think exactly what they would think, probably probably just as hard as they think that. What I noticed about the poker economy was that it has the wide range of classes and social statuses as any other market you could ever imagine. And the only reason it has such a bad connotation to it is because people don't know how to regulate their money. They do gamble. Even though it is a game of strategy, you had to discover that. Otherwise, it is a gambling game.
Right.
There just happened to be a structure to it. You could manipulate around it, and you could definitely turn it into something besides gambling. Otherwise, I think the perspective on it needs a new light for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely rough, but at the end of the day, if you really sit back and analyze it, you know where to go and you know where not to go.
Right.
Like, I mean, even if you have to dip your toe in a little bit just to kind of get an idea, like, is this okay, is it not? It's usually when you get to that circumstance, you're usually in a safe place anyway. So if you're not supposed to be there. And if it's a place that you can tell is an uncomfortable place, it's because it is. And you don't need to go to that spectrum of this market.
Right.
And just to stay away from it. But as a whole, it's a much smaller percentage of bad, if anything negative, than I would suggest it would be because of the way the image of it is. It's much less negative than it's portrayed, I would say.
For future updates on Grinders and any other projects that Tyler is working on, listen up.
As far as the literary updates, I would probably contact me on my Facebook to keep up with that. I talk more on there than I do my other social platforms.
Okay.
So Tyler Cambry, it's pretty easy to find me. I have a poker picture. There's only probably a handful of people with the same names. I'm pretty easy to narrow down. Otherwise, I like to use Instagram more than anything now.
Okay.
I'm more into that platform, though that's more about pictures. I do make updates on there and I caption things. Tyler the Grinder.
Tyler the Grinder.
And between the words, it's an underscore, but if you just type it in, it's pretty easy to find. I have the same picture as my Facebook. I'm easy to narrow down.
I want to thank Tyler for speaking with me, and I want to remind our listeners that you can get the direct links to Tyler's social media pages on our Instagram and Facebook pages, both at The Donald POV. As always, if you liked what you heard, please tell a friend and please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Also, don't forget to check us out online at www.thedonaldpov.com, where you can get up close and personal with all of our podcasts, online courses, and voice acting services. Till next time, I'm Donald Fitzgill Jr., and this is the Donald POV. Brought to you by the Speakeasy Sound Company. I'll holla.